The giant arena buzzed with the roar of thousands. Lights shone bright, and strange alien shapes filled the stands. They came from all corners of the galaxy to watch one thing: death. The blood sport was their favorite game, and today they had a new player. Zara Rain stepped into the center ring. Her breath was steady, but inside, a storm raged. She was far from Earth, captured after a mission went wrong. Now she was a fighter in the coolest arena of the galaxy. Her skin was scratched, her clothes torn, and a thin trickle of blood ran down her arm. The crowd sneered. The massive lizard warrior across from her raised its huge axe high. Its eyes burned with hunger. "Weak human," it growled. "You bleed already? You won't last 5 minutes." Zara's lips curved into a small smile. "That blood?" "Just the warm-up," she whispered, barely loud enough for herself. The beast charged. The fight began with a clash of metal and scales. Zara dodged the heavy swings of the axe. Every hit she avoided was by a hair's breadth. Sweat mixed with the blood on her skin. She could hear the crowd yelling insults and bets. Most of them wanted her dead quickly, but Zara was not like the others they had seen. She was not just a soldier, she was trained to survive. She used her speed and mind instead of brute strength. When the lizard swung wildly, she slipped under his guard and stabbed his leg with a sharp piece of broken metal. The beast roared in pain and fury. It swung again, but Zara rolled away just in time. Her heart pounded, but her eyes were calm. "You fight like a child," the beast sneered. Zara stood, wiping blood from her mouth. "I'm just getting started." The crowd grew silent for a moment. No one expected her to last this long. Then a sudden cheer rose. Some began to admire her courage. The lizard took a step back, his breath heavy. Zara saw the chance. She climbed quickly onto a nearby rock, jumping over the beast's head. In one swift move, she grabbed a sharp piece of metal sticking out from the ground and drove it into the beast's back. The lizard's eyes went wide with shock. It fell forward with a heavy thud, the crowd gasping. Zara stood over him, breathing hard but smiling. "Is this your best?" she asked the silent crowd. "That blood? Just the warm-up." A few voices shouted in surprise and respect, but others hissed with anger. The alien commanders watching from their seats exchanged worried looks. Zara's mind raced. She was alone, far from home, but she had made her mark. They saw now that humans were not weak. They were fighters. As the guards came to take the fallen beast away, Zara wiped her blood-streaked face. She knew this was only the beginning. The arena was a trap, but she had a plan. They thought her blood was the warm-up, but soon they would taste the full storm. She looked up at the crowd, her eyes burning bright. "I'm not here to die," she said softly. "I'm here to win." The cheers grew louder, mixed with shocked whispers. The game had changed, and Zara was ready for the next round. Zara Rain lay still in the cold metal pit. Her body was covered in cuts, bruises, and dried blood. Her eyes were shut. She didn't move. Above her, 2 alien medics stared down into the pit. "She's dead," one said flatly. He was a tall, green-skinned Graxon with long arms and glowing yellow eyes. The other leaned closer. No heartbeat, no breath. Then Zara's hand twitched. The second medic jumped back, eyes wide. She moved. The first one checked again. "That's not possible." Suddenly, Zara gasped. Her lungs filled with air like she'd just come back from drowning. She sat up fast, coughing hard. Blood poured from her mouth, but she was alive. "Still think I'm dead?" she said with a broken smile. The medics froze. They had seen hundreds of fighters in the arena. None of them had come back from a wound like that. Especially not a human. Guards rushed in with weapons, unsure whether to treat her or finish her off. One of them stepped forward. "Lie down, human," he barked. Zara stared at him. Her eyes were cold, steady. Kill me now, she whispered. Or you'll regret keeping me alive. The guard hesitated. Then he stepped back. They put her in a recovery cell, bare metal walls, flickering lights, and the constant sound of distant screams. This was where they threw broken fighters to either heal or die. Zara lay on the floor, breathing slowly. Every muscle in her body hurt. Her ribs felt cracked. Her leg was swollen. But she was alive. She looked up at the ceiling and whispered, "Earth didn't train me to die easy." In her mind, she replayed the last fight. The lizard warrior had nearly torn her in half. But she had outsmarted him. That was her edge, thinking faster than the enemy, fighting with her mind when her body gave out. Suddenly, the door creaked open. An alien stepped inside. But he wasn't a guard or a medic. He was a prisoner. His skin was deep red with black scales along his arms. One of his eyes was missing, and a chain hung from his neck. He sat down across from her and stared. "You shouldn't be alive," he said. Zara looked at him carefully. "Neither should you." He gave a sharp laugh. "Fair, but I've been here a long time. I've seen champions rise and fall. But never anyone like you." She didn't reply. The alien leaned in. "They're scared of you now, the arena masters. You're not supposed to be winning." "I noticed," Zara said. "I can help you," he whispered. "But you'll owe me." "Help me how?" "There are tunnels beneath the arena. Old ones, forgotten. I know where they lead. You want to survive longer. You'll need them." Zara narrowed her eyes. "What do you want?" "My freedom. When your chance comes, take me with you." She stared at him for a long moment. Then she nodded once. "Deal." The alien smiled and slid a small metal chip across the floor. "This will open a hidden hatch in the north wing. It only works once." Zara picked it up and hid it under her sleeve. "What's your name?" "Torvak." She remembered it. The next morning, the guards came for her again. The crowd was waiting. They expected her to be broken, barely able to stand. But when she walked into the arena, she was tall, sharp-eyed, and quiet. A deep scar now ran along her jaw. She didn't hide it. The new opponent was a four-armed beast with thick armor and sharp blades growing from its wrists. It roared at the sight of her. "She's back?" someone shouted from the crowd. "Didn't she die?" Zara said nothing. She just watched the beast charge. This time, she didn't dodge. She waited. Right before the monster reached her, she stepped to the side and struck its side. The blade cut deep, right through a weak point in the creature's armor. It screamed in pain and swung wildly. Zara ducked and cut again. She moved like water, fast, smooth, silent. The crowd was stunned. How is she doing this? One alien whispered. "She should have died yesterday," said another. The beast dropped to its knees. Zara placed her blade to its throat, but she didn't kill it. She looked up at the alien leader sitting high in the arena. "Not today," she shouted. "Let this one crawl back and tell you Zara Rain is not done." She turned and walked away, leaving the bleeding monster behind. That night, the guards locked her back in her cell. Torvak was waiting. "You could have killed him." "I wanted to send a message," she replied. He nodded slowly. "You did." Later, one of the arena commanders stormed into a dark control room. "Why won't she die?" he shouted. Another replied. "She's not just fighting. She's planning." They didn't know how right they were. In her cell, Zara pulled out the chip Torvak had given her. She stared at it and whispered, "Not yet, but soon." Her body was broken, but her mind was sharper than ever. She was more than a fighter now. She was a threat. The arena lights flickered overhead as Zara Rain stepped onto the blood-stained ground. Her eyes scanned the tall metal gates across from her. Behind them, a new enemy waited. She didn't know its shape, its size, or its weapons, but it didn't matter. She would find a way to win. She always did. In the control tower above, two alien commanders observed her closely. "She's learning too fast." said the first one, a broad-shouldered insectoid with black armor and 6 glowing eyes. The second, a pale-skinned alien with sharp teeth and long fingers, narrowed his gaze. She was never meant to last this long. The gate burst open with a hiss of steam, and a hulking creature stepped out. It had 4 arms, each holding a different weapon blades, hammers and hooks. Its armor was thick and shiny, its breathing deep and steady. The crowd roared with excitement. Zara didn't blink. She crouched slightly, muscles ready. The alien charged at her with a loud battle cry. She waited at the last moment. She rolled to the side, dodging the hammer blow. Sparks flew from the ground where it landed. She spun around and kicked the back of the creature's leg. It stumbled, but didn't fall, too heavy to knock down. She muttered. The creature turned quickly and swung its hook. Zara ducked under it, then drove her fist into the gap under its arm. The creature growled and slashed with a blade. It caught her shoulder. Pain shot through her, but she didn't stop. In the tower, the insectoid leaned forward. She's adapting to every style, every opponent. Yes, the second commander said slowly. She studies during the fights. She remembers everything. Below, Zara moved like a shadow. She didn't try to overpower the monster. She waited. She watched. Every time it swung, she noticed something, a hesitation in its left arm, a delay in its footwork. She's scanning his weaknesses, said the first commander. She's not a gladiator, replied the second. She's a soldier. Zara feinted left, then leaped right. The creature followed, expecting her move. But that was the trap. She slid under its legs and slashed the back of both knees. The beast roared and dropped to the ground. Zara stood behind it, panting, blood dripping from her arm. The crowd was silent for a moment. Then cheers exploded like thunder. She didn't smile. She just looked up at the control tower. She knew they were watching, and she wanted them to know she was coming for more than just survival. Back in the recovery zone, she pressed a cloth against her wound. Torvak, the red-scaled prisoner, watched her quietly. You learned his moves in seconds, he said. Had no choice, Zara answered. You fight better than anyone I've seen here. I fight smarter, she corrected. Torvak leaned forward. The guards talk when they think no one hears. They say the arena masters are scared of you now. They think you're becoming dangerous. I already was, he chuckled. If you keep this up, they might try to kill you outside the arena. Let them try, she whispered. But I won't be here much longer. Torvak's eyes narrowed. You have a plan? Zara didn't answer. She opened her hand. In her palm was the small metal chip he had given her earlier, the key to the hidden tunnels. Soon, she said. Later that night, inside the control room, the commanders met with the arena's high overseer. She must be stopped, the insectoid commander said. She's turning into a symbol. She's only human, the overseer replied coldly. No, she's more than that, the second commander argued. We've seen her. She studies every species we send. She breaks their patterns. She should have died 3 fights ago. Kill her in the next match, the overseer ordered. No more games. The next day, Zara stood again on the killing ground. This time, 3 enemies faced her. One was tall and armored. Another fast and snake-like. The third floated, with long tendrils and glowing eyes. The crowd gasped. Zara stayed calm. She took a breath and studied them. 3 at once, she said quietly. You're afraid. The tall one rushed first. Zara ducked and slashed behind his knee. The snake-like one struck next, fast and sharp. She rolled away and threw dust in its face. The floating one sent a shockwave toward her. She dropped to the ground as it passed above her, then leaped forward and stabbed its core. 1 down. The armored one came again. But she slid beneath him and kicked upward into a weak spot under the chest plate. 2 down. The snake coiled around her, trying to crush her ribs. She couldn't breathe. She stabbed over and over with her knife. Black blood sprayed across her face. 3 down. The crowd rose to their feet, screaming her name. The tower remained silent. She should not be winning, the overseer hissed. Should we send the beast? One commander asked. The overseer paused. No, not yet. But prepare it. That night, Zara returned to her cell, bloodied and shaking but alive. Torvak was already waiting. You should be dead, he said, voice low. So they keep telling me. She answered, sitting beside him. They'll come for you soon. I know. Torvak looked at her. Then why do you smile? Zara leaned back and whispered, because I'm learning faster than they are. In the shadows of the arena, plans were forming. And Zara Rain wasn't just fighting to survive anymore. She was preparing for war. The air inside the arena felt heavier than usual. Every seat was full. Creatures from all across the galaxy gathered to see what many called an impossible fight. There were no jokes today. No bets, no laughter. Just whispers. She's fighting him today, someone said quietly. They want to make an example of her. Zara Rain stood alone at the center of the ring. Her body was covered in bruises, old scars, and fresh wounds from the last 3 battles. But her eyes were steady, focused. Cold dot across the arena. A massive gate opened. Out stepped Korak the Unbroken, the undefeated champion of the arena. 8 feet tall, covered in thick black armor. His fists had ended hundreds of lives. His face was hidden behind a red mask that had never once been scratched. For 12 years, no one had made him bleed until today. Zara watched him calmly. From the control tower, the High Overseer looked down with sharp eyes. This is the end, he said. No one survives Korak. Beside him, one of the commanders shook his head. Zara isn't like the others. She make it hard for him. She won't make it past the first 2 minutes, the Overseer replied. The arena gates slammed shut. Korak took a slow step forward. His voice was deep and full of pride. You are small, human, weak. They should have sent 3 of you. Zara didn't respond. You don't speak? He growled. She looked up at him and said quietly, I'm thinking where I'll strike first. Korak let out a low laugh and rushed forward with speed that didn't match his size. His fist came like a hammer. Zara rolled under it, then kicked his knee with all her strength. It was like kicking a wall. She staggered back. He turned and grabbed her by the neck, lifting her high. Her legs dangled in the air. You don't get to think. He growled, you get to die. Zara didn't struggle. Instead, she reached into her belt and drove a hidden blade into his arm. The blade snapped. He tossed her across the arena like a rag doll. She hit the wall hard and slid down, gasping. Blood ran from her mouth. The crowd stayed quiet. In the tower, the Overseer smirked. She'd pass out soon. But down below, Zara pushed herself to her feet. Her ribs screamed in pain. Her vision blurred. Still, she stood. Korak raised his head slightly. You should have stayed down. You should have worn better armor, she said, coughing blood. He rushed again, this time swinging both fists. Zara ducked under one and turned into the second. It hit her shoulder and sent her spinning, but as she fell, she slashed at his leg joint right at the weak spot. His leg buckled slightly. He looked down. Small crack had appeared in the armor. Zara saw it. Korak did too. He growled and stepped back. Clever, he admitted. She was already moving. She ran toward the walls, using the old broken columns as steps. She jumped off one, high into the air, landing on his back. Her hands grabbed hold of a loose cable near his neck. He slammed backward, trying to crush her. She let go and rolled aside. Dust flew up. The crowd leaned forward, shocked. Zara came in low and fast. She struck the cracked spot again. Korak let out a roar and grabbed her, throwing her across the ring once more. But now, the crack had widened. He limped. His blood dripped from the weak spot. In the control tower, silence filled the room. No one's ever made him bleed. One officer whispered, "She's breaking him," said another. Down in the dirt, Zara crawled to her feet. Her vision was dark. Her knees were shaking. But she smiled. "You're not unbroken anymore," she said. Korek stared at her, stunned. With one final cry, she charged. He raised a fist, but he was slower now. She slid under him and drove a jagged piece of arena metal right into the opening. In his leg, he dropped to one knee. She jumped behind him and climbed his back, pulling out another hidden blade. She stabbed under his helmet right where the mask met the neck armor. Korak roared in pain. And then he fell forward. The arena was silent. Zara stood on top of his back, blood dripping from her face, arms, and blade. Her chest rose and fell with every breath, but her eyes were alive. A single voice from the crowd shouted, "She just killed the champion." Then the crowd exploded. Cheers, screams, some in awe, some in fear. In the tower, the overseer slammed his fist into the wall. "Enough! Kill her after the next match. I want her gone." But Zara wasn't thinking about them. Back in her cell that night, Torvek stared at her with wide eyes. "You just ended the reign of Korek. He bled like the rest of them." She whispered, "They'll never forgive this." "I don't need forgiveness. I need freedom." She opened her hand and looked at the tunnel chip again. It was time. Zara had beaten the champion. Now she was ready to escape the cage. Zara Rain sat on the cold floor of her cell, back against the wall, legs stretched out. Her body ached from the last fight, but her mind was wide awake. She wasn't resting. She was building a map inside her head. Every hallway, every guard station, every weakness in the walls, every flicker in the lights. She had watched, counted, remembered. "This human has a plan," Torvek said quietly. Zara looked up at him. The red-scaled alien leaned against the opposite wall, his one good eye watching her closely. "Still think I can't break out of here?" she asked. "I think," he replied slowly, "you already figured out how." She didn't smile. She just reached into her sleeve and pulled out the metal chip he had given her days ago. "This chip," she said, "opens a hatch near the waste chute. The guards pass it every 2 hours, exactly. But their shift changes once every 6. That gives me a 4-minute gap with one distracted guard and a blind camera angle." Torvik whistled softly. "You really were trained for war." "I was trained to win," she said. He leaned forward. "You're going to escape. I'm going to do more than that," she whispered. "I'm going to bring this place down." Footsteps echoed down the hallway. The guards were coming. Zara hid the chip again and stood tall. The door slid open. "Time for another show." "Human," one of the guards sneered. "Let's see how many bones you break this time." Zara said nothing as they grabbed her arms and pulled her down the hall, but inside she was counting steps, doors, shadows. This match was not about survival. It was a distraction. She entered the arena under a dull gray sky. Today the roof was open. Rain had made the sand wet and heavy. The crowd was smaller. They thought she would be tired, broken. They didn't know she had already moved far beyond them. A large insect-like fighter stood across from her, its 6 arms clicking and snapping. It hissed and charged immediately, weapons in every hand. Zara dodged, rolled, and blocked with pure instinct. She wasn't trying to win fast. She was making it look hard. That gave her more time. Above, in the control room, the commanders were busy watching the fight. None of them noticed the small blinking light. In the lower corridors where a locked hatch suddenly clicked open, back in her cell, Torvek moved. He had spent years pretending to be broken, quiet, weak. But now, as the guards sat laughing in their corner, he stood silently, walked to the far wall, and slid a hidden panel aside. Behind it was a narrow passage, one that connected to old tunnels beneath the arena. Just as Zara had planned. In the ring, she finally struck the insect creature's main leg. It toppled, and she quickly pinned it without killing. The crowd booed, wanting blood. But Zara raised her hand. "No kill today," she shouted. "Tell your leaders I'm done playing their game." Some laughed. Others booed. A few cheered. Guards dragged her out and threw her into her cell. One spat at her feet. "You're not special anymore," he growled. But when the door slammed shut, Zara didn't sit. She went straight to the far wall and pressed her hand against a small crack in the stone. Tarvak's voice came through from the other side. "Tunnel is open," Zara responded. "Are the weapons ready?" "We have 5 plasma blades, 3 shotguns. More hidden with the rebels in cell block 6. Zara breathed in slowly. "Tonight we move." That night, while the arena lights shut down and the control room staff changed shifts, Zara opened the hatch and slipped into the tunnel. Torvik joined her, followed by 2 others, one with sharp claws, another with cybernetic eyes. They moved quickly, quietly. Torvik whispered, "Security centers 3 turns ahead. Camera feeds and alarm controls." Zara nodded. "Take them out fast. No alerts." They reached the small control room. The alien technician inside barely had time to stand before Zara slammed him into the wall. Torvik disabled the panel and started looping the cameras. "Security eyes are blind now," he said. Zara looked to the others. "Get the weapons to the prisoners. Wake them up. They fight or die in chains." Chaos began to rise from the shadows. Doors opened across the prison. Blocks, fighters beaten, bruised but not broken, emerged. Some with weapons, some with bare hands, but all ready to follow the human who had just killed a champion. The guards reacted too late. Alarms began to blare, but too many systems were offline. Lights flickered. Explosions rocked the lower levels as rebels used stolen charges to blow. Gates wide open. Zara moved through the smoke and fire like a ghost. She reached the armory, took what she needed, a combat rifle, 2 stun bombs, and her old earth knife. Recovered from storage. Torva met her at the hangar doors. "They've locked it from the command tower," he said. Zara handed him the rifle. "Then we take the tower." They fought their way upward. The tower was heavily guarded. Automated drones flew down, firing energy blasts. Rebels fell around her, but Zara kept moving. She reached the tower entrance and planted the last bomb. She had. The wall shattered, and she stormed inside. The overseer stood waiting, surrounded by elite guards. "I warned them," he said. "You humans always believe you're smarter." Zara raised her weapon. "You should have believed me when I said I wasn't here to die." The fight was fast, brutal. Zara took down 2 guards before they reached her. One hit her shoulder hard, but she spun and stabbed him in the throat. Torvik blasted another from behind. Together they stood over the overseer, who now lay on the floor, wounded and gasping. "You don't understand," he whispered. "This place keeps order in. The galaxy, you're going to cause chaos." Zara leaned close. "Good." She shot the console behind him. Doors across the arena opened. Prisoners poured into the upper halls, armed, angry, free. From the top of the tower, Zara grabbed the loudspeaker and spoke one message into the galaxy. This was never just about survival. You made us fight for your entertainment. Now we fight for each other. You wanted a show? You're about to get a war. She turned to Torvik, blood on her hands, but a fire in her eyes. "Let's steal a ship," she said. "We're not done yet." The control tower was burning. Smoke poured from broken glass panels. Alarms screamed across the arena. Lights flashed red. The prison floors were chaos rebels running through corridors, weapons in hand, fighting for freedom. In the middle of the madness, the High Overseer stood still, watching the fire spread. Blood dripped from a cut above his eye. A shaken guard ran to him. "We've lost cell blocks 2, 4, and 7, the guard shouted. "The human Zara Rain, she's leading them." The overseer's hands tightened into fists. "We underestimated." "Her," said another officer. "No," the overseer growled. "We let her play too long. It ends now." He turned to the dark chamber behind him, a sealed room hidden for years. "Open the vault," he ordered. The guards hesitated. "But sir—" "It's unstable," one of them said. "That creature, release the beast," the overseer hissed. "End her." Deep beneath the arena, a thick metal door slowly opened. Cold mist flowed out. Inside, a monstrous figure sat in chains 12 feet tall, covered in armor like scales, breathing heavily in the dark. Its eyes snapped open. Glowing red dot, it had no name dot, it was not trained dot, it was made for one thing. Destruction dot. As the chains dropped, the beast stood and roared a sound that shook the ground. It had never lost a fight. It had never been touched by fire, blade, or claw dot until now. It had slept dot, now it would hunt dot far above. Zara, Rain, and Torvak led a group of rebels down a narrow hallway. The path shook beneath their feet. What was that? One of the rebels asked. Zara stopped. She felt it too. A deep rumble. A growl in the bones. "They released something," she said. "Something big." Suddenly, an explosion hit the wall nearby. Dust and fire blew through the corridor. A shadow stepped out from the flames. The rebels froze. The beast stood taller than all of them, its body covered in thick black armor. Its claws looked like sharpened steel. Its jaw split open, revealing rows of teeth. Zara's voice stayed calm. "Run!" The rebels scattered. Some opened fire. The bullets bounced off the creature's skin like sparks against stone dot. It lunged dot. 2 rebels were crushed in seconds. Torvik fired from the side, but the blast only slowed the beast for a heartbeat. Zara ran toward a narrow stairwell, dodging falling metal and fire. The beast followed. She reached a side door and slid inside, locking it fast. "Where's the ship?" she asked, breathless. Torvik pointed ahead. 2 levels up, launch pad 4B. Zara turned to one of the rebels. "Take the others." "Get 2. "The ship, now. What about you? I'll slow it down." "You can't fight that." Zara gave a cold smile. "I've fought worse." She turned and ran in the opposite direction, toward the beast. The hall was quiet again. Too quiet. She moved slowly now, watching every corner. Her boots stepped carefully over broken pipes and bloodied floors. Then she heard it breathing. She turned just in time to dodge the creature's claw. It swiped through a wall like paper. She fired her plasma gun straight into its chest. It did nothing. Zara ran. The beast followed, smashing through walls, chasing her up flights of stairs. Every step it took cracked the floor beneath them. She reached a weapons locker, kicked it open, and grabbed the shock spear. The handle buzzed in her hand. The beast leaped forward. Zara ducked and jammed the spear into its neck. Electricity poured into the monster's body. It screamed a deep, painful sound, but it wasn't dead. It grabbed her and threw her across the hallway. Her back slammed into a wall. She groaned, dropped the spear, and crawled toward a service vent. The beast came again. She rolled inside, just as its claws tore through the wall. Sparks flew everywhere. She kept crawling. "This thing doesn't stop," she whispered. She reached a broken panel, kicked it open, and dropped into a lower hallway. More fire, more screams. The building was falling apart. She had one last idea. She reached for her wrist there. Tied to her armor was the last thermal grenade she had hidden days ago. "Let's end this," she said. The beast found her again, this time in a hangar bay filled with fuel tanks and storage crates. Zara ran to the far end, letting the monster chase her deeper. She climbed up the crates and waited. The beast roared and jumped. After her she leaped off, landing hard on the ground. She turned and threw the grenade right at the beast's chest. The blast was instant. Fire swallowed the hangar. A wave of heat rolled through the air. The floor cracked open. The crates fell like dominoes. Zara flew backward, slammed against the wall, and dropped to the floor. Silence followed. Smoke filled the air. Zara coughed. Tried to stand from the smoke. Something moved. The beast still stood, but now its armor was cracked. Its skin burned. Blood poured from one side. It stumbled. Zara walked toward it, knife in hand. "You're tough," she said, "but not invincible." The beast charged one final time. Zara rolled, climbed its back, and drove the blade into the base of its skull. It fell. This time, it didn't get up. Zara collapsed beside it, chest rising and falling. She stared at the ceiling. Then she heard Torvak's voice over the comms. "The ship is ready. We're waiting for you." Zara stood slowly, covered in ash, blood, and dust. "I'm coming," she whispered. She left the beast behind, broken and still. The galaxy had sent its worst, and once again, the human lived. The cold metal floor trembled beneath Zara's boots as she stepped aboard the stolen starship. The hangar was still burning behind them, flames licking the walls as alarms echoed through the wrecked arena. Rebel fighters gathered around her, some nursing wounds, others clutching stolen weapons. Their eyes burned with hope and hunger for revenge. Torvak stood by the control panel, fingers flying over buttons and switches. "Ship is ready for takeoff," he said. "But we're not just escaping. We're going back." Zara's gaze hardened. "Back to the arena?" "No," Torvak replied. "Back to the command center, the heart of their operation." She nodded. "Then let's give them a show they'll never forget." The engines roared as the ship lifted from the ruined hangar. Outside, the arena burned like a dying star, a beacon of rebellion. Inside the ship's dimly lit cabin, Zara gathered the fighters. "Listen up," she said, voice steady but fierce. "They trained us to kill each other, to fight for their amusement. But now we fight as one. We strike hard, we strike fast, and we end this." A chorus of voices answered her call. The starship slipped through space, closing in on the command center orbiting a nearby moon. The facility was massive armored walls, turrets, and countless guards. Torvak pointed to a screen. "Their defenses are strong, but their command hub is vulnerable during shift changes. We'll hit them when they least expect it." Zara clenched her fists. "Then we make sure they never forget who they crossed." As they approached, the fighters prepared weapons. Plasma rifles hummed, blades glinted, and armor was checked. Suddenly, alarms blared on their ship. "Enemy ships incoming," shouted the pilot. Zara grabbed a rifle. "Get ready. This isn't going to be easy." Outside, sleek black fighters swarmed, firing bright energy blasts. Torvak shouted over the chaos. "Shields down to 50%. Zara ducked behind a console as the ship shook violently. The fighters returned fire, dodging blasts, weaving through deadly waves of fire. One of the rebels screamed as a missile hit a side thruster. The ship rocked hard. "Brace!" Zara yelled. The starship spun wildly, alarms screaming. In the midst of battle, Zara spotted the command center's docking bay below. "There!" she shouted. "We can land there." The pilot twisted the controls. Racing toward the target, the ship crashed through the docking bay shields and slammed onto the metal floor. Doors hissed open. Zara led the charge, blasting through the stunned guards. "Move! Move!" she ordered. The rebels fought with fury, every shot and strike filled with years of pain and hope. They stormed deeper into the complex, heading for the command tower. Suddenly, a voice echoed over the loudspeakers. "Traitors! Rebels, you will all burn!" Zara recognized it. The overseer. Her fists clenched. "Let's finish this." They reached the command room where the overseer waited, flanked by elite guards. "Fools," he sneered. "You think you can destroy order?" Zara stepped forward. "We're here to end your cruelty." The battle was brutal. Blasts lit the room, Guards fell one by one. Zara faced the overseer alone. He lunged with a hidden blade. She blocked and countered with a strike to his arm. He hissed, retreating. "You'll never win." He spat. "We already have," Zara said, driving her blade into his chest. He fell, silence following. The rebels cheered. But Zara's eyes scanned the room. "We must destroy their systems," she said. Torvik hacked the console, planting explosives. 10 seconds. He warned. They ran for the exit as the building shook. Explosions ripped through the command center. Fire and smoke consuming the walls. Outside, the rebels gathered on the ship as it lifted off. Zara looked back at the burning moon base. "This is just the start," she said. Torvik smiled. "The bloodbath begins." And in the cold darkness of space, a new war had begun. The stolen starship moved silently through the dark reaches of space. Zara Rain sat alone in the cockpit, her eyes scanning the star map. The stars outside were cold and distant, just like the enemy she had left behind. But she knew they wouldn't stay quiet for long. Torvik approached, his red-scaled face tense. "They're sending ships after us," he said. "Their fleets want to crush this rebellion before it grows." Zara didn't flinch. "Let them come," he shook his head. "This time it's different. They've called in reinforcements from the Empire's best killers. They call them the Shadows." Her lips curled into a small smile. "I've been hunted before." Torvak's eye narrowed. "These Shadows don't miss. They leave no survivors." Zara stood, her voice steady. "Then I guess I'm about to become their target." Below them, the rebel fighters prepared for the worst. Weapons were cleaned, armor checked, nerves steeled. Suddenly, the ship's sensors beeped loudly. Multiple signatures detected, approaching fast. The pilot's voice was tense. Enemy ships closing in from 3 directions. Zara gripped the console. "Ready your weapons, we don't run." The enemy ships appeared sleek, dark, almost invisible against the void. One by one, they locked onto Zara's ship, firing deadly energy blasts. Torvik shouted, "Shields failing." "We won't last long." Zara's voice cut through the chaos. "Eject the cargo pods. They need to get the message." The pods released, scattering into space, transmitting a call for help to other rebel cells hidden across the galaxy. The Shadows closed in, firing relentlessly. Zara dodged through asteroids and debris, weaving with expert skill. A sudden explosion rocked the ship, throwing her against the console. "Damage to engines!" The pilot yelled. Zara clenched her fists. "We're not done yet." A shadow flickered near the viewport. One of the enemy ships had launched a boarding pod. Torvak shouted, "They're coming inside." The boarding hatch burst open, and figures, cloaked in black, moved in silent, deadly. Zara grabbed a rifle, firing with precise shots. The shadows advanced, but the rebels fought back fiercely. One shadow leapt forward, knife flashing. Zara blocked and countered with a blow to the jaw. He fell, but more came. The battle raged through the ship's narrow corridors. Zara and Torvak fought side by side, back to back. "Keep pushing to the bridge," Zara commanded. They reached the control room where the pilot struggled to keep the ship steady. "Almost out of fuel," he said. Zara's mind raced. There was only one choice left. "Prepare the escape pods," she ordered. "We split up. We meet at the rendezvous point." Torvik hesitated. "And the ship?" "It's a sacrifice." The rebels moved quickly. Boarding pods launched into the cold silence. Zara stayed behind, covering their retreat. The shadows closed in. She fired one last shot, then ran to the escape pod. The pod launched just as the ship exploded in a ball of fire behind her. Alone in the black void, the pod drifted silently. Zara's voice came over the comms. "This isn't over. Tell them ... I'm coming for you next." Her eyes burned with a fierce light. Somewhere, far away, her enemies shivered, because They knew the human they thought was broken was far from finished, and the hunt had only just begun.